So I'm Andy Wilcox. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Imprivata. I've been with the company now for just over 8 years, based in the UK, covering most of our regions outside of North America, and very much focused on how our products are used by clinicians, by our organizations, what benefits they bring, how how a technology translates into better care, better usage, better experience for clinicians. I've been in health tech now for probably coming up for 20 years, so I've seen a lot, been through a range of different companies, looking at different technologies from hardware, software, and different use cases, different environments globally. So, really excited to be here down in Melbourne and experiencing Australia.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And I want to chat about the global piece in a second, because we know that Imprivata are no strangers to talking health tech. There's a bit on the feed people can go back and check out. I spoke to Sean at HIMSS just recently too, and others that are in the feed. Actually, I think Imprivata is probably the most global. We've done conversations every part of the world. So now I think about it. Yeah. So here in Australia, what's happening for Imprivata at Digital Health Festival?
Yeah, so today I'm doing a talk with the CNIO from Peter Mac, Antonella. We're talking a lot about mobile, actually, which they've just done a big project with mobile, rolling out to all their nursing staff, and we've been part of that process along with a couple of other tech vendors. And we're really seeing a move towards mobile in general in healthcare. It's often facilitated by the EMR vendors, or EPR, depending on where you are in the world,
Sure.
who are starting to discover that there are new ways of working which extend the functionality of the EPR but deliver it through new modalities, through mobile devices. And how do we facilitate our staff doing that? So Antonella's done a great project to Peter Mac where they've been able to do that and allow nurses to deliver care closer to the bedside, to be more accurate with their data they're entering, be more timely with the data they're entering, which mobile facilitates, but also provide that in a really efficient way. So, we all use mobile devices in our own life. We know how great they can be at times, but how frustrating they are when you're forced to enter your iCloud password again, or a website password. And you imagine how that translates to someone on the front line that's got a patient in front of them that wants to take vital signs or enter some observation data, and trying to fiddle with those little tiny keyboards and typos. Oh my God, it's so frustrating. So we try and act as an interface between the user and what they want to use the device for, and make that seamless. So kind of getting away from that mentality that you can have security or efficiency, but you can never have both. And actually saying we can have both. We can give you, from an IT perspective, a lot of security, but from a nurse's perspective, they're at the front line, it can be efficient, it can be easy, it can be second nature. There's no barriers to them using it. And that's really critical, I think, in today's, we look at, pressurized environment of healthcare, where we're constantly talking about increasing waiting lists and waiting times for patients, and staff leaving and staff pressures and all of those things that are creating challenges. We can help address some of those.
That point around efficiency versus security, I've said before, often it feels like to make something more secure, you've got to make it harder to use, because then, you can't even get into it if you're supposed to use it, right? And at least it's secure then. But that's not what we're trying to achieve. So being able to balance both, that's super important. There was something as well that made me think, and it's probably a question without notice too, but in this world of more mobile being incorporated into healthcare, and as devices can be enabled to be super secure, and even down to cameras are great, and everything's connected to everything. It's a remarkable tool, and often everyone's got one on them. From a patient's point of view, when you see a clinician kind of standing over you, like playing with a phone, and I've seen this in other parts too, like dermatology, you could have a very big machine that looks impressive taking images, but to be honest, you could do something on a phone app that is actually just as clinically capable, arguably. But you kind of don't want the dermatologist taking a photo like this. It's obviously a different use case with you in terms of like check-in and things. As you've seen it across a global perspective, what's been the, because I feel like an important part is clinicians feel comfortable and confident using tools out in and sometimes we feel comfortable just using a big clunky thing.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the most efficient way is on the phone. Is there any feedback on that?
It is, and there's two parts I want to touch on in terms of answering that. The first, you mentioned the patient, and there's an education piece that needs to exist with patients in that it's okay for clinicians to be using a mobile. It's not their own mobile. They're not taking photos and putting them on Instagram.
Yeah.
That these are clinical devices that they're designed to support the care process. So that first of all, and I went to my local hospital in the UK in Cambridge, and they've got signs on the walls saying clinicians have mobiles, these are for delivering care.
Yeah.
Please don't be offended or upset by that. So that's part of that. And the second thing is, and you delve into what we talk about a lot, which is adoption, which is how do clinicians get comfortable with the devices and how they start to think of them as complementary to the care they're giving. And there's that again is an education piece partly, but the other side of it is making the devices easy to use. And
Yes.
we've grown up with Windows desktops and laptops in a care setting for many years, 20-30 years. They've existed in some way, shape or form, and they've gradually got closer and closer to the point of care. And we've got to go through a little bit of that same process again with mobile and some of it isn't just going, oh, it's a device, we can replace what we did on a desktop with a mobile. It's about learning that it is different and it has different ways of working and bringing people for the journey. So I was over in the Nordics in Sweden and Denmark a couple of months ago, and they've built these entire education packs for their process of rolling out mobile, which explain the steps they're going to take, the buttons to click on, what's going to happen when they pick the device up, how they're going to interact with it. And that's a really critical part of that integration, integrating the device into a staff member's working day. And like going back to that security and efficiency piece we just talked about, Peter, it's removing those barriers, making things as easy as possible for your healthcare person when they come and pick the device up is a really critical part of that adoption process.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, lastly, thinking about then where your priorities are at Imprivata, and I guess what people are asking for often, that's going to inform then where your priorities are at. What's the healthcare workforce asking for now, given that you've been able to deliver to this point?
Well, it's a good question, and I think if we look in general at the way security is going, a lot is around passwordless. And healthcare wants to be on that journey because we're dealing with a lot of very, very sensitive, very secure data, which we're making much more accessible. And what they want is to make sure that when they give that, they provide that to the people delivering care, that it is secure but easy to get to. And that's always the key message. And one of the key things we've invested a lot of time and effort in is biometrics.
Yes.
So we're used to using Face ID on our phones, and that's great. How can we deliver that in an enterprise setting, in a hospital setting? And that's one of the key we're really excited about that we can deliver that on a scale that allows you to use it on desktop and mobile, that gives hospitals security that they can, it gives them the security that they can increase security, to use the sort of twice. And I think that's really exciting. And I see, and particularly in Australia, there's a lot of embracing of new technology, new ways of doing things. And, last week I've been on a bit of a road trip around a few states and a few hospitals, VDI, roaming desktops. That's a really exciting thing. And delivering desktops from the cloud, so that you can give much more scalability. It's, you reduce your hardware requirements, you keep up to date with patches, so you're doing that protection, but you're giving clinicians a unified experience wherever they are in the hospital. Even outside of the hospital now, you can potentially deliver that remotely. So there's lots of really exciting things going on there, which are really at the forefront of technology within healthcare.